components were so dwarfing that, like, of course it was just control mirrors because you had Stoneforge, Mystic, and Squadron Hawk. If people can actually play with regular creatures and bolts, Jace is actually not an overwhelming card. But I don't think you can unban it, because once you unban it, you can't ban it again, because already so much damage got done in the standard bannings when people paid $100 for the Jaces and got colded. You can't ask people to go back and reacquire 4 Jaces and then ban them again.
Sure.
So there's other risks associated with those bannings, because those unbannings, because it's more, well, I'm not confident in the purchases I'm making are actually going to matter. You know? Anyhow, to our match.
To our match we shall go, and you guys may have saw my face while Patrick was talking, and the reason you saw that is because David Ganus on the right, the first card I saw when I looked at his deck list is Enter the Infinite.
Ooh!
And Enter the Infinite is a card that we'll bring up on screen for you guys at some point here during the match. It's that new card that can draw all the cards in your deck.
Why mess around with a Gristlebrand when you can just take them all?
Yeah, and so he has this. He also has Omniscience in his deck. He also has Dream Halls in his deck, and this is a real card to be casting with Dream Halls to go along with these Emrakul, the Aeon Torns. And then, you know, he's got his Brainstorm, his Force of Wills, and things to find these cards. But this deck, I thought the Black, Red, Green Zombies deck was going to be the cool deck, and it is. But this Omnitel deck is also sweet.
And on our left, we have Josh Hosted, who is playing, I guess this is something of a mash of Sam Black's Walking Dead deck with the Vengevine survival decks that warranted a banning a little while ago. He's playing, his creature base is Gravecrawler, Bloodcast, Carrion Feeder, Lawless Troll, Basking Rootwalla, a Singleton Anger, and 4 Vengevines. He has Faithless Looting, 3 Cabal Therapies, 3 Entombs, so we can find, for example, his Anger or set up his Vengevines, 2 Grizzly Salvages, 3 Goblin Bombardments, and something I thought I would never ever see in a deck list. If there's something that you could say in Legacy is either a 4 of or a 0 of, what card would you name?
I feel like I'm cheating because I know the answer.
It's Bridge from Below, right? You would, either deck wants Bridge from Below or not. He has 1 as a bullet he can go get with Entomb. So this is, you know, definitely a derivative of Sam Black's Walking Dead. He's got the 1 Undiscovered Paradise, which is the sure tell. But he's incorporated a Rootwalla, Lawless Troll, Vengevine engine that we've seen in survival decks of the past.
This is exciting. This is a brewer's paradise.
Yeah.
As we are going to see a ponder here from David to get things underway.
Things start innocently enough. An island and a ponder. Could just be some regular magic. Who knows?
It could be boring old Rug or whatever.
Yeah.
I know Rug doesn't have any basics, but yeah, it could just be some boring old deck.
Yeah.
And this is anything but. Now, you know.
Could be Esper Blade.
Yeah.
Could be Bug.
Now, the interesting thing here is that, you know, the card, when Dream Halls was back allowed in Legacy, a lot of people were like, oh boy, that's kind of dangerous. We haven't really seen anything come of it. You know, you got your Conflux Dream Halls deck, which, you know, kind of lose to themselves because they're horribly inconsistent, and, you know, it's just not something that ever really does happen. But
is this guy piling with his Ponder Shuffle?
I believe that's actually what's happening right now. But this is an actual Dream Halls deck that is actually feels like pretty good.
This is a faux pas right here.
This is a no-no?
This is a no-no.
Yeah. It's like having a good time.
Yeah. I think our spotter is on the case.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. You can't table shuffle between each ponder. That would be like table shuffling in between each fetch land.
Yeah. Turn 1, Mystery Forest, pile, pile, pile,
Yeah.
pile.
Lay
Ponder,
out. Yeah.
tank, tank, tank. Pile out again. And it's your turn, and there's 36 minutes left on the clock.
So yeah, I think our spotter just gave him the heads up of that's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah. And in the interim, his island is left play. I appreciate Josh not shuffling back, just going with the old cut.
I should have piled back for sure. a little game of one-upsmanship. Anything you can do, I can do better. So Josh will take a draw step. We've got a Badlands. We're going to start with Cabal Therapy. Good luck.
Whoa!
Challenge accepted.
I would probably name Brainstorm, because who knows what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, Brainstorm or Force of Will are the safest names. The hand you're going to see here are Personal Tutor, Omniscience, Island, Enter the Infinite, Show and Tell, and a mystery card that's off on the tape. Hopefully you can have that brought up here.
Are there any 2-mana lands in the Omnitel deck?
The Omnitel deck, there are 4 Ancient Tombs. You're not going to find any City of Traders here, however.
Hopefully we can get our spotter to give us some insight into what was named.
clearly a miss, as I think it's almost impossible to hit there.
Yeah. Enter the infinite.
Yeah, nailed it. Preordained the draw step for David. And Dream Halls was the name card.
You named Dream Halls?
Dream Halls?
Wow.
These guys have to be friends or something, right? Or sat next to each other. The cold read. That's impressive.
They got to be friends.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. Or I guess he couldn't have flipped over something while he was shuffling since he was pile shuffling.
Maybe they sat next to each other during one of the rounds.
Yeah,
I mean, that's completely
be
possible, but naming Dream Halls, the jig is up.
He just drew an Ancient Tomb, so.
We're getting closer.
I mean, fortunately for Josh, if he has any sort of creature, he can flash back that therapy and knock out those show and tells.
Yeah, you do see a carrion feeder here. And looks like that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see Cabal Therapy again. Show and tell.
Yep.
Yep, that's going to go bye-bye.
Leaving in with Personal Tutor, Enter the Infinite, and Omniscience.
Draw step here from David.
No second land drop from Josh, unfortunately.
Yeah. And quick stop and play here. Spotter going to clear some things up for you. Now there's an Emrakul the Aeon Torns in David's deck list. You're also going to find a couple of Lotus Petals, so he does have some ways to accelerate to that Show and Tell or to that Dream Halls. And then once that gets online, then things just start to spiral out of control.
Yeah, it does not take much. Very low base.
Yeah.
Dream Halls can lead right into just Enter the Infinites, which is, one would assume, a kill.
I would assume that will end the game, yes. I can't imagine it doesn't end the game. Enter the Infinite is the card, again, that draws all of your, I believe, your entire deck and then lets you put a card back. So we're going to cut back here. It looks like our spotter is getting some things figured out here. Won't be interesting for you guys, but we will analyze these deck lists while we are back in the booth very quickly. Again, the deck that David Ganus is playing, 4 copies of Enter the Infinite, 4 copies of Dream Halls, a couple Personal Tutors, 1 Intuition, 3 Lotus Petals, a Flusterstorm, 3 copies of Preordain, 4 Ponders, 4 Omniscience, 4 Show and Tell, 4 Forceful, and 4 Brainstorm. So just trying to assemble the combo. He has multiple different ways to go about doing it.
Yeah.
You know, either with Show and Tell, actually hard casting Dream Halls. You know, not realistic for him to actually hard cast Omniscience, but you know, he has so many different ways to go about finding Show and Tell. He also, I mean, he has Personal Tutor in his deck, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
You know, it's very clear what he's trying to accomplish here, and once he does, you know, casting Enter the Infinite or casting Emrakul. So.
And Personal Tutor was a card that received a lot of speculation on the secondary market.
Yeah.
When the Miracle Time Walk was previewed.
Yeah, Temporal Mastery.
Right, Temporal Mastery.
The card that was supposed to ruin Legacy. What? What did I say?
It didn't.
Oh.
But it did.
Oh.
It didn't.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't. Because it's playing 2 cards to Time Walk inconsistently is actually kind of fair in the scheme of things that are going on.
So back to ruined Legacy.
Yeah, it ruined.
Yep.
It ruined Legacy.
Yep.
Just like you can pitch it. You can pitch it to Force of Will, being how can it be bad? You can pitch it to Force of Will. Well, you don't always have Force of Will, and I also just don't put Merfolk or the Pearl Shrine in my decks because I can I can just pitch it to Force of Will.
I could deal them 20.
Right. And I can just pitch it to Force of Will anytime it's bad.
Yep.
But what if it's bad all the time? Then why wouldn't I just play a different blue card that can be good some of the time?
Are you talking about Temporal Mastery or Helen Crucible? Which card are you talking about? I'm confused.
I actually think Temporal Mastery could be sweet, but I think the problem is it was just too many people were trying it first, and it wasn't the right time for it, and everyone got frustrated. But it is definitely something to keep in the back of the mind.
Of course.
Anyhow, back to this deck. A lot of redundancy. You see that sort of skeleton a lot in the Sneak and Show decks, where there's a lot of tutors to find a lot of the same redundant components.
Yeah.
And this deck is doing the same thing as well.
As for your spicy brew, I like this deck, actually.
Where I understand Lala Troll's in here and it's just better, basically, but where are the Wild Mongrels? You can't show up with a deck like that and not dust off the dogs.
It's very easy to do that, actually.
Yeah.
Because Lala Troll is a zombie and so is Gravecrawler. That's
no,
part of the
I know
reason.
it's better, but
All
it's way less sweet.
All right? You can't go bow wow wow yippee yo yippee yay. I'm sorry.
So, I mean, this deck has a lot of the same tools that Sam Black's deck has, and Entomb opens up a pretty broad swath of tutoring possibility. Like you see the 1 anchor, you see 1 copy of Bridge from Below, and 4 Vengevines are possible to cast, but it's much more about Grizzly Salvaging and Faithless Looting them over. So the deck's a little bit slower because Vengevine is taking in the place of something with more raw efficiency, but certainly you get a little more durability if the game goes long enough to start Vengevining, because it's very hard to withstand that.
Yeah, I mean, one card that Sam Black plays, and normally Sam Black's deck, The Walking Dead, kind of what this is inspired by. You know, it has a little bit of white in it for, you know, your Path Exile, your Swords of Plowshares, and then Lingering Souls. The idea behind this deck, kind of off the start, was that he would Faithless Looting, discarding Lingering Souls another card, and then flashback Lingering Souls on turn 2, and it's like, that's pretty good. But I actually find, you know, a card like Vengevine to be a lot more exciting in this deck.
Yeah.
Honestly. So, I actually like this approach, and I also kind of like the Entombment approach as well.
Yeah, it definitely opens up a wide range of options. And for example, he gets Ancient Grudge in his sideboard, which is another thing that he can entomb for.
Yeah. As we are back underway here, David is going to play an Ancient Tomb and just pass the turn back. Whatever the issue was, and it looks like we did have a judge called over and spotter. Everything looks to be taken care of now, and we are back underway here, so nothing too serious, as Josh is still just stuck on one land. It's the Ancient Tomb, going to get tapped here for 2. And we're going to have a Dream Halls.
Here we go. This is not going to go on for too much longer right here.
And so Dream Halls is a card, I know it's old school.
Yeah.
It's a card that allows you to remove a card of a certain color to cast a card of the same color for free, correct?
Yeah, basically it gives all your spells Force of Will mana cost as an alternate.
And so Dream Halls is going to let him cast that. Now he's going to cast Enter the Infinite, another card that we'll bring up for you guys in just a second. So Enter the Infinite resolves. David literally just picks up his deck. This is the first time he's seeing this in action here.
Yeah.
And you see Josh is going to read that, and we'll bring Enter the Infinite up for you guys as well so you can read it at home, because things are about to get a little bit wild here. Now draw cards equal to number of cards in your library, then put a card back from your hand on top of your library. And you saw David just put back a card immediately.
Yeah.
And he says you have no maximum hand size until the end of your next turn. Until your next turn, excuse me. So you're going to see him cast an Emrakul. So he's going to be able to put him to 5. He's going to cast another Emrakul. So those are going to die.
So this is infinite turns.
I believe that's what this looks like. So those Emrakul triggers are going to happen. He's going to have to shuffle stuff back in. Okay, so he shuffles this back in. Still has no hand size. You guys are watching this unfold just like we are. We've never seen this before.
Right. It seems, you know, we saw Brad Hypergenesis out his Emrakul through Omniscience. This is like that, except that he gets to do an unlimited number of times, basically. In the event that the 7 turns and the 42 Annihilator triggers aren't sufficient, you can keep going.
And so yeah, okay. His deck list that we have in front of us, it's a little bit cut off. So we wasn't sure how many Emrakuls he was playing. I didn't know if he was playing 1 or if he was playing 4. 4 obviously makes a lot more sense. And so now you see another Emrakul plus another turn trigger. And so now David's going to untap. He's going to draw a card. Draws he says attack step. All right, kill your 1 land and deal you 15. Doesn't have to discard because he entered the infinite. He's going through. It's so awesome. He's going through all the cards. I guess he's just happy to discard at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. Why not just? Can you just enter the? Okay.
Yeah, I feel like he can cast Enter the Infinite again, right?
Right.
He just casts Enter the Infinite again, draws all the cards, puts them back again, and then just finds Emrakuls and does it again. So he can just demonstrate the loop, and always protect it with Force of Will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, dead.
Yeah. Just in case the first 4 Emrakuls aren't enough to keep going.
You take over. I'm going to log on to my Magic Online account really quick and buy Dream Halls. So go ahead, because I'm actually very interested in this deck right now and what it's doing.
All right, so looking at the sideboard here, Josh actually has what appears to be very little to bring in. He has Python Needles and Nature's Claims, and those actually don't really do very much to break up the combo.
Yeah.
Because you can't go, I mean, I guess you can go No, that is not even good. If you go, he goes Omniscience and it resolves, and you're like, enter the Infinites, and you're like, in response, disenchant your Omniscience. Like, the enter the Infinites is going to do enough to win the game the following turn, right?
Well,
I guess with Dream Halls, you could actually profitably respond.
Well, let's think about it, right? Like, he plays the Omniscience, and then he casts Into the Infinite, and then the Omniscience is no longer there, so we have all the cards in our hand. But, like, you know, what if we show and tell in that Omniscience, and then it gets blown up, and we have all of our deck and one card left? Like, how much can we do? I guess we have...
We would just show and tell an Omniscience back in the next turn, because we have our whole deck.
Okay, yeah, we have our whole deck, yep. We have 3 Lotus Petals in our deck as well.
Certainly, certainly there are spots where you could probably respond to... yeah, I think there might be spots where you could respond profitably, but overall it would be very hard to stick a Nature's Claim for any value. Ancient Grudge, not good. Ground Seal, not good. Abrupt Decay, not good. Not good. And I don't even know if I think Josh is still just shuffling his same 60. So.
Yeah, Josh is just yawning from that beatdown he just took.
Yeah, I mean, his draw was obviously awful that game.
Yeah.
And he can get off to a much better start and have his Cabal Therapies, plus he can Entomb for additional copies of Cabal Therapy. I think if he actually has lands and spells, he can present a pretty quick clock and some disruption. That game, you know, he clearly wasn't able to do that.
Taking a look at David's sideboard here, he's got some Volition Reigns, Flusterstorm, Stifle, Leyline of Sanctity to protect himself, Cyclonic Rift, and a couple copies of Wipe Away. As far as cards he'd want to bring in here, because, I mean, if you think about what he just saw, in the previous game he saw Cabal Therapy, and he saw Carrion Feeder.
Yep.
And then his opponent died.
Yep.
So I can't imagine he's going to want to sideboard too much stuff. Maybe Leyline of Sanctity to be a bit of a hedge here against discard spells. I mean, he did see Cabal Therapy, but again, Cabal Therapy in this deck seems like it's pretty difficult.
Sure, and you know, if he's assuming that Josh is on, you know, Sam Black style The Walking Dead, the deck often sideboards into Thoughtseize and even Tide Hollow Scholar to complement the Cabal Therapies.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you're expecting that sort of skeleton, you know, Leyline of Sanctity is a reasonable card to bring in. That's pretty much where that's the disruption that he's going to present.
Now this deck is really interesting to me, right? Because this is a show and tell deck first and foremost, and we've seen show and tell decks kind of drop off a little bit. You've got your sneak and show deck that people do play, and it does have some reasonable amount of success. At one point, there was your show and tell Omniscience deck, Omnitel, that we saw for a little while there, and could kill people with the Burning Wish engine of, you know, casting Petals of Insight over and over and over again. But you know, that deck was heavily reliant on show and tell. Yeah. This deck has show and tell in it, and the show and tells here are loaded because you can show and tell an Emrakul, you can show and tell an Omniscience, you can show and tell them Dream Halls. So they're loaded up with things to do. You can find them with Personal Tutor along with your cantripping, but you can also just play the Dream Halls game plan, and Dream Halls will probably get the job done a lot of the time. So the combo pieces here are redundant. They can be found. You can protect yourself. You can also accelerate them out. I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the cost of this deck is playing is it's super redundant on a bunch of garbage. Like you 4 Enter the Infinites, 4 Omniscience, a bunch of Dream Halls. Like you can get some hands that just don't work fast enough or don't function against disruption or whatever. But certainly, it's hard to break up everything he's doing with just a lone Thoughtseize because there's so many pieces through which he can go off.
Yeah. I'm definitely interested in like the concept of this deck. And is it any surprise really that, you know, we were talking about cards a little bit earlier today and yesterday, during yesterday's broadcast, just about cards that could have an impact from Gatecrash. And is it any surprise that Enter the Infinite is being cast here in Legacy, and that this could actually be a real thing maybe moving forward? This is this is really interesting. Like if this resolves, it's just game over.
Right.
It's just that simple. And you know, we thought the same thing with Omniscience as well, and that ended up being the case. But you know, is this a card that you can play, that you have to play side by side with Omniscience? Is there any other way to cheat this? It's a good question, because when it does resolve, the game should end immediately.
Well, I think that you have to play with Omniscience, both because it is easy to, obviously, it's easier to get Omniscience into play through Show and Tell and then enter the Infinites.
Yep.
Omniscience also makes it guaranteed to kill once you enter the Infinites, because drawing your whole deck with all your spells for free is sort of a combo.
Yes.
Those two effects
together
generally work well together.
Peanut butter and jelly,
right?
Lamb and tuna fish.
I didn't know that was a combo.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Well, are you more comfortable with spaghetti and meatball?
Not really. Yeah. I like punch and additional punch buttons, so I'm not the right guy to ask about this.
So we do see both players looking at their opener, Josh taking a mulligan. Josh, you gotta get a little pep in your step, buddy.
Yeah, he's been on camera now for it looks like close to 20 minutes, and he's had priority for about 2 of them. So,
all right,
he's been sitting there just taking his lumps.
All right,
I wouldn't be at my most enthused either.
All right, you make a good point. A solid counter argument. Josh is gonna keep. We're gonna see a Cabal Therapy here. You see a couple Basking Root Walls over there too. A Lot of Troll and a Faithless Looting.
Maybe he's gonna therapy himself.
All right, Show and Tell's. Let's see what he names really quick. As we do go over the hand here of, he does name Show and Tell. Personal Tutor, Stifle, Force of Will, Preordain, Enter the Infinite, and Island.
So he's got a 1-lander and no real path right now to go off, but he does have a cantrip and a little bit of protection.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna take a draw step. Draws a Taiga. Or Tundra, excuse me. Tundra.
What does he have a Tundra for?
Taking a look here, white cards.
Probably a hard cast Leyline of Sanctity?
Yeah, I think it's only the sideboard. It looks like. Yeah, just to be able to hard cast Leyline of Sanctity. He has 2 Tundras. He has 2 Flooded Strands, 1 Scalding Tarn, 1 Misty Rainforest, and 3 Polluted Deltas. Also the 3 Lotus Petals as well. So if he does draw 1.
We got Faithless Looting, and he knows about Stifle in the hand. He can't break that fetch land.
Yep. You are going to see a Preordain here from David. Leyline of Sanctity actually was his draw step the previous turn, so he can actually, try to cast it. As you see him resolving his Preordain, keeping his hands apart.
And Josh with Faithless Looting and 2 Root Walls in his hand. And we all want to relive our childhood of Careful Study Root Wall here. But
those were good. Those were good days.
Still can't break that Catacomb for the time being.
David just going to pass back here. Josh draws a mystery card. It's not a land. He does just pass the turn back, knowing that he can't crack the fetch land again because of Stifle. Show and Tell the draw step here for David.
Attention, 2-headed giant players. Your round 2 pairings are now being
David just passes the turn back.
There we go.
He draws a Badlands.
Your round 2 pairings have been posted.
Now it's on.
Faithless Looting. Hey, those Root Walls, they're ready to go.
Yeah. They've been itching. They've been on the sidelines for too long.
We got a Brainstorm here in response from David. 2 and 3. Couple of cards here for him.
I guess he can also cast that the Leyline off of his Lotus Petals too.
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right, so that's going to resolve. See down Bombardment and a mystery card drawn.
Yeah!
Asking Rootwalla, the Madness trigger, and another one. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have left you. You're going to see a Stifle here on the fetch land.
And I actually like this play okay from Josh because there's some chance that he's no longer going to be holding. He might have brainstormed back the Stifle at this point.
Yeah. And now you're going to see a Cabal Therapy here, sacrificing the Basking Root Wall, and we'll see what Josh chooses to name.
I like Personal Tutor as a name here.
He names Enter the Infinite. Okay. So the hand of Show and Tell, Force of Will, Personal Tutor, Leyline of Sanctity, and Polluted Delta is revealed face up. So Josh has all the information, and you can see that a Show and Tell right now not going to do very much.
Nope. Although we did brainstorm back too, so.
That's true. We're just going to pass the turn back. David takes a draw. It is a Flooded Strand.
Goes and finds, I would assume, the second Tundra.
Yep.
Getting closer to our hard cast Leyline of Sanctity.
Yep.
do a threshold check, I guess. I don't know. Some meticulous organization and shuffling going on.
Hey, you want to make sure you do everything right when you're in a feature match.
I never felt the same way.
No? You want to do everything wrong in a feature match? Is that your goal?
I just want to keep people on edge.
Yeah, sloppy as possible?
Not sloppy as possible, just demonstrate the range.
That's a comment I have no comment for.
Two-minute giant competitors. Your next round is starting. Please come over to the event area.
Well, at least it wasn't a pile shuffle that time. And just to pass back, Josh's going to draw a card, draws a Vengevine. There's a Verdant Catacombs. He's going to sacrifice this, looking for a green mana. And Bayou's the one it's going to be. No Stifle here from David.
We're going to pump our wallet.
I think we're going to see a lot with Troll here, would be my guess. That's my best guess.
Yeah, that's fine.
There is a lot with Troll. See if this is forcible where it is. You do see David pulling it forward here.
Does that mean it's a super threatening card, right? It means a lot of damage and who knows what it enables.
Yeah.
You've already been root wallet, so God only knows.
Yeah, what else is available here? As you do see the Polluted Delta that we knew about from David. Search out one of them there islands. Maybe we will be seeing that Leyline of Sanctity here, which will even shut off, shuts off the discard, but also shuts off that Goblin Bombardment as well.
Yep. Fortunately for Josh, he has a Faithless Looting in his graveyard, so he can try to find something better to do. David, earlier in the match, when we cut away, received a warning for having some of his cards turned different ways from one another.
Yeah.
And so he has to be extra careful shuffling as just gets upgraded here if it happens again.
Now we will see the Leyline.
Boom.
Vengevine drawn.
We might get fancy soon.
We could be seeing a lot of damage here from Josh in just a moment. Yep, and there's your Faithless Looting from the graveyard. Is this okay? It is. Undiscovered Paradise and a third Vengevine at the draw steps. Discard Vengevine number 1, number 2. In comes the Lawless Troll and the Basking Root Walla. Looks like that's just going to be 3 damage, and you're going to see another Undiscovered Paradise here.
In the deck, basically because of its interaction with Bloodghast and to a lesser extent Faithless Looting.
Yep. David draws a Dream Halls for the turn. He's going to start the turn off with a brains, or excuse me, with a Preordain.
Finds Omniscience Leyline of Sanctity. He has show. Does he have Show and Tell?
Yep, he still does have that Show and Tell. Not a ton to do with it, but he does have it. Show and Telling Omniscience right now, I mean, typically a very good play, but he doesn't have a card like Enter the Infinite or Emrakul, so there's not really a lot that he can do with it right now.
Yeah.
You see him preordaining 1 to the bottom and 1 to the top. Oh, and he does take the Omniscience. So now you are going to see Show and Tell. You see Josh is going to put a card down here. He's considering his options between that Vengevine and that Goblin Bombardment. Settles on the Vengevine. David puts in the Omniscience. Now you're going to see a Personal Tutor. And we're going to nuke that Omniscience there with a Nature's Claim. But we know David does have a Force of Will.
I mean, we have to. Yeah, we're going to force this, right?
So Personal Tutor is going to end up resolving. I can't imagine we're going to find anything but Enter the Infinite, which is the first card he does go get.
And so now he's just got to survive for one turn here,
Yep.
and then. Yeah. So for those of you, wondering about that, Dave was able to just cast the Force of Will through Omniscience. It was not an all cast. You get used to seeing someone Force of Will tapped out, and you're assuming it's always with the alternate cost, but.
So Enter the Infinite goes on top of the deck, and the threat is looming.
Right.
Josh, you have a turn.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
need
he
to
needs to
make it
find
a
some
good
way
one.
to get those Vengevines back. That would be the lethal here. But I don't think he can do it.
That Undiscovered Paradise should be back in his hand since he used it for the Nature's Claim.
Yeah.
And the return trigger looks like they're just noticing right now. In his hand now, after that returns, will be Marsh Flats and Gom Bombardment, so he does not have the necessary creatures to make this bigger. By my math, looks like he can attack for 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 2 more from the Root Walla is 9, and 9, Patrick, is not 14.
Hey, you know what would have been good this game?
I'm listening.
Wild Mongrel would have
Yep.
been good this game.
Yeah.
It's a combo with Undiscovered Paradise,
Yeah, it sure is.
among other cards.
Sure is. You're a buffoon yet a threat. Patrick Sullivan.
It's not. I'm not wrong.
Yep.
It would have been better and cooler. And when you can do both, there's no reason not to.
Oh, yes, tell us more. Tell us more about Wild Mongrel.
Well, you can actually discard any card to it. It doesn't have to be a creature. And so, for example, when you flood out or you have dead Goblin Bombardments in your hand, because of Leyline of Sanctity, you could discard those as well.
Yep. It looks like we're having another judge call over here very, very quickly. But
The mistrigger with the Undiscovered Paradise, I assume.
so they'll probably resolve that very quickly. Either be a caution or a warning, and then we'll be back to gameplay for you guys. Back here in the booth, Wild Mongrel, Cedric Phillips.
You don't get that many opportunities to relive your childhood, man. So
You are right about that. You are
The
right about
mongrels.
that. Some parts of your childhood you should just let go.
I'm just saying that he has a Goblin Bombardment that isn't good because of Leyline of Sanctity,
Okay?
and 2 lands in his hand.
Okay?
Wild Troll does not interact with those. Wild Mongrel interacts with everything.
It does. Actual every single thing.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. This is the perk of my day working with him. You have no idea.
It's just true. That's
Think
the best
about-
part of it.
Think
It's
about
just
what he says
true.
when we're not on camera.
Yeah.
Think about that.
This is how I brew.
Yeah. That's the fun part.
So it looks like I don't think Josh can really cobble together a lethal here.
Yeah, I mean, by my math again, he looks like he can attack for a maximum of 9 damage. 2 from the Troll, 4 from the Vengevine, 3 from the Root Walla. The Bombardment's not going to do anything. And then David's going to cast Enter the Infinite, and to Infinite we will go.
Yeah. Pumps the Root Walla. That's pretty fun. And this is going to knock David down to 5, but then unfortunately we're going to then draw our deck.
And Josh is going to cast the Goblin Bombardment. Josh is just going to go, yep, this doesn't do anything because of your ley line. And in just a moment, Patrick, we will enter Infinity again.
But only briefly.
To Infinity and beyond.
What a top deck.
David draws his whole deck. I love when he does it because he just draws his deck and just puts just bottom card.
Yeah.
This is going away. And so here is Emrakul numero uno.
So that's 1 turn.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a turn. All right.
He's making sure he doesn't miss the Emrakul turn trigger,
Yes.
which is something
All
that can
right.
actually happen.
Now that's 2 turns.
Yes.
Okay. And we'll put those back.
I'm gonna shuffle it up. Ali Antrazi, how happy do you think he is? A scale of 1 to 10.
Probably pretty happy.
Yeah, this is like a 9 for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a 10 mana. That's a 10 mana enchantment in play. It's 11 mana spell. You gotta be pretty happy.
Something about Josh's board just makes me very happy too.
Yeah, you.
I'm pretty happy.
Yep.
Everyone's happy. Josh probably is not that happy. Everyone else is getting their money's worth here. All right.
How happy do you think David is? Scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, he's probably pretty stoked.
Yep.
This seems fun.
And
All right.
that's Emrakul number 3.
So that's 3 turns.
Yeah, by your math, that's 3. That's actually that's no more turns.
And Josh
is going to concede.
Josh backs to the
Yep.
3rd turn.
Yep. It's the 3rd turn. He
2 I might have been able to beat, but the 3rd one, forget it.
Yeah. So David Ganus, with his Omnitel deck, his brew, is now 3-0. Excuse me, this is round 4. He's 4-0
Yeah.
with his Dream Halls deck, and Josh is going to move on to 3-1. And all joking aside, of course.